Hey there. If you're into understanding how amazing things come to be, the stuff we see and use every day, you should really hit that subscribe button. There's so much more we can explore together.
I agree.
And speaking of amazing things, today we're going deep on something, well, it's fundamental to our built environment, but often taken for granted.
Right.
Like we see a finished building, but rarely think about the massive collaboration that made it happen. It goes way beyond just one architect having a vision.
Absolutely. It's a team effort, a whole web of expertise.
Exactly. And you, our listeners, you really sparked this whole deep dive by sending in some truly insightful material. It highlighted how vital teamwork is in, well, any construction project, really, if it's going to be successful.
Couldn't agree more. We often fixate on that final impressive structure.
Right. The finished product.
Yeah. But rarely do we stop and appreciate the symphony of knowledge, the pure coordination it took to bring it to life. I mean, it's a testament to teamwork when all those diverse skills and perspectives, they mesh seamlessly.
It's like an orchestra, almost.
It is.
And yeah, we might picture this solitary architect like the lone creative genius, but the reality is so much more intricate.
Oh, more.
It's a whole ecosystem, specialists each bringing something essential to the table. So our mission today,
Let's hear it.
to truly unpack how these experts, architects, engineers across various disciplines, and all those specialized consultants work together effectively. Because honestly, understanding this collaborative dance, it offers insights that apply to anything complex, not just architecture.
Definitely transferable skills.
Totally. So let's get into it. Who are the key players in this design ecosystem? When you talk about building a structure, who are the essential folks at the table?
Okay, so right at the foundation, literally, you have the structural engineers. They're the ones making sure the building can actually stand up, that it's safe, and that it can withstand everything it'll face, over time.
Wind, earthquakes, gravity.
All of it. They analyze the loads, figure out the materials, and crucially, work hand in hand with architects. They have to integrate those structural elements seamlessly into the design.
So it's not just about looks, it's about physics too.
Exactly. And bringing them in early, it's not just about preventing redesigns later, though that's important. It actually can shape the architect's initial concept. It can lead to a more, well, a structurally elegant and cost-effective design from the get-go.
They're the unsung heroes, making sure it doesn't all come crumbling down.
That's them.
Okay, then we have the MEP engineers, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Their territory is a bit different, right?
It is. They're like the life support system of the building, you could say. They design the heating, ventilation, the AC, all that stuff for comfort. Then you've got the electrical systems, power, lighting, and of course, all the water coming in and going out, the whole plumbing infrastructure. And a really crucial part of their job, which is getting more complex all the time, is making the building energy efficient.
Sustainable design. That's huge these days.
It is. And they're making sure all these essential systems, they fit into the architect's vision, not just tacked on as an afterthought. Because, no one wants exposed ductwork clashing with a beautifully designed interior.
Form and function got to work together.
Exactly.
Okay. And playing an increasingly important role, we've got sustainability consultants. What's their unique contribution?
They're the champions for environmentally responsible design. They look at everything, energy modeling, maximizing natural light, suggesting sustainable materials, and guiding the project towards those green building certifications like ARO-D.
Right, ARO-D, we've all heard of that.
Their involvement, it not only helps the project hit those environmental targets, but it often saves money in the long run through reduced energy consumption.
It's good for the planet and the wallet. Win-win.
Exactly.
Now, we can't forget about safety. That's where fire and life safety consultants come in.
Right. Their top priority. Making sure everyone who uses the building is safe. They advise on fire exits, sprinkler systems, smoke control, and basically everything to ensure the design meets all those fire and building codes. No compromises there.
Makes sense. Safety first.
Always.
But it doesn't stop there, does it? I mean, depending on the project, you could have a whole bunch of other specialists, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You might have acousticians to optimize the sound in different spaces, lighting designers focused on how light, both natural and artificial, impacts the feel of the space. Facade engineers who are all about that exterior envelope, making it look good and perform well against the elements.
So it can get pretty specialized.
It can. The team grows depending on the project's complexity and type.
So we've got a lot of experts, a lot of moving parts. It seems like the architect still plays that central coordinating role, though, right? Like the conductor of the orchestra.
Yeah, they're the lead designer, the primary visionary, shaping the building's concept. But their role is really about orchestrating all these different disciplines, making sure everyone's contribution aligns with the overall design,
Yeah.
that all the pieces fit together.
So they're like the glue that holds it all together.
You could say that. And while they're the lead, the project's success really depends on equally strong contributions from every discipline.
Right, because you could have the most amazing architectural vision, but if it's not structurally sound or if the plumbing's a nightmare,
It's not going to work.
not at all. Okay, so
Yeah.
we know who the players are. Now, how do they actually collaborate effectively? What are some strategies for seamless teamwork, especially when you have so many different experts with different perspectives?
Well, one of the most important things is starting early and collaborating often. The sooner you bring all those key consultants into the design process, the more integrated the approach will be.
Early bird gets the worm, as they say.
Exactly. This early involvement, it helps spot potential conflicts and find synergies early on, preventing those costly revisions and rework down the line.
Saves time and money. I like it. But what does that early collaboration actually look like? How does it play out?
You often have these things called early design charrettes. Basically, they're intensive workshops where all the stakeholders, architects, engineers, consultants, sometimes even the client come together right at the concept phase. They brainstorm, discuss goals, and identify potential challenges.
So it's like a brainstorming session on steroids.
It is. It's a fantastic way to build a shared understanding and get everyone on the same page from the get-go.
Love that. And you also mentioned preliminary coordination models. What's that all about?
This is where BIM, or Building Information Modeling, really shines. Think of it as a central, intelligent 3D model of the building. Everyone, architects, engineers, contractors, can access it and work on it simultaneously.
So it's not just a static blueprint.
No, it's dynamic. It contains a ton of information about every component. And even early on, the team can start building this basic digital model. This allows them to see how the different systems, structural elements, ductwork, piping, all fit together spatially.
So you can catch those clashes early on.
Exactly, like way before they become expensive problems during construction.
Smart. It's like a digital sandbox where everyone can play and see how things fit together.
Exactly. And beyond the early stages, clear and consistent communication, it remains absolutely crucial. It's the bedrock of any successful collaboration. This can take different forms, but regular weekly coordination meetings are key. Keeps everyone in the loop, on progress, emerging issues, and ensures accountability.
A regular check-in keeps everyone honest.
Yes.
Makes sense. What other communication strategies are important?
Shared digital platforms are huge. Tools like BIM 360, Trello, or Miro, they allow for real-time updates, document sharing, feedback, all that. Everyone has the latest info and can contribute their thoughts.
Staying connected in the loop. I like it.
And never underestimate the power of visual communication. Sometimes a well-done diagram or sketch can convey a complex idea way better than pages of text, especially when you have people from different technical backgrounds.
Sometimes a picture really is worth 1,000 words.
Absolutely.
You also mentioned how important it is to define roles and scope clearly. Why is that so critical?
It's about preventing confusion. Those moments where you're like, wait, who's handling this?
Yeah. Those overlapping responsibilities can be a mess.
Totally. So a great tool is a responsibility matrix. It's basically a chart that spells out exactly who's responsible for what. For example, who's accountable for the fire rating of a specific wall, the acoustics in a certain room, the ceiling heights, all that.
So it's like a roadmap to avoid stepping on each other's toes.
Precisely. And on bigger projects, it's also key to clarify reporting structures, especially if you have a construction manager or owner's rep involved. Knowing the chain of command ensures efficient communication and decision-making. Everyone knows who to go to. Okay, we touched on it before, but let's delve a bit deeper into how technology enhances teamwork. You've mentioned BIM a lot. What makes it so transformative for collaboration?
Well, BIM really changes the game because it provides that shared digital representation of the entire building. But it's more than just 3D modeling. It's a central hub of information about every aspect of the design and construction. This lets all the disciplines work from the same model, see how their designs interact, and proactively spot those potential conflicts in the virtual world.
So before a single brick is laid.
Exactly. For instance, an architect designs a complex ceiling feature. And using BIM, the mechanical engineer can instantly check if there's enough space for the ductwork above it,
You catch those issues early.
right then and there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that leads to tools like clash detection, right?
Yes, software like Navisworks can automatically find those instances where, say, a ventilation duct and a plumbing pipe are both trying to occupy the same physical space.
Oops. Yeah. Big oops if you don't catch it. Identifying and resolving these clashes in the digital model is way cheaper and faster than finding them during construction, which could cause huge delays.
Nightmare scenario.
I've seen it happen. Once, clash detection flagged over 300 potential conflicts. Saved the client a ton of money and weeks of delay.
Oh, I bet. And finally, under the tech umbrella, there's cloud-based document management. How does that help with teamwork?
This is all about making sure everyone on the team has the most up-to-date information. Cloud platforms allow easy sharing, version control, secure access to all the documents, drawings, specs, reports, schedules from anywhere. No more outdated drawings or lost emails. It's all centralized.
Makes life a lot easier. So it sounds like proactive planning, clear communication, well-defined roles, and smart tech are the cornerstones of good collaboration here. But even with all that in place, I'm sure there are still some common friction points, right? Where do architects and collaborators butt heads?
Oh, definitely. Even on well-run projects, challenges pop up. One common area of tension is that inherent difference between aesthetics and practical requirements. Design versus performance conflicts.
Right, the architect wants it to look amazing.
Exactly. But the engineer needs to make sure it's structurally sound, energy efficient, and that it actually functions as intended. It's a balancing act.
Totally. So how do you address those kinds of conflicts when beauty and practicality clash?
The key approach is performance-driven design. It means integrating those performance considerations, energy efficiency, structural stability, acoustics right from the beginning, not as an afterthought.
So baking it into the design from day one.
Exactly. And using performance simulations early on can help the team understand the impact of different design choices. It's about finding that sweet spot where form and function work together.
Compromise and data-driven decisions. What other friction points do you see?
Constructability concerns can be a big one. Sometimes a design might look amazing on paper, but be a nightmare to actually build.
Right, because in the real world, things get messy.
They do, and the construction team might look at something and go, yeah, good luck building that. The solution is involving structural engineers and, importantly, construction professionals early on to get their input on feasibility and cost.
Getting the builder's perspective from the get-go.
Exactly. And project delivery models like design build or integrated project delivery, or IPD, where the design and construction teams work together under one contract, can also be super helpful. It fosters a more collaborative and buildable design process from the beginning.
So it's about breaking down those silos between design and construction.
Exactly.
Now, deadlines and budgets, those are always a potential source of stress, right?
Oh, absolutely. Deadline and scope pressures can lead to rushed decisions or overlooked details. The key is a realistic and well-communicated project schedule from the start. And importantly, building in buffer time for unexpected issues.
Because something always comes up, right?
Always. And clear communication about any scope changes and how they might impact the schedule and budget, that's crucial.
Transparency is key.
Definitely.
One last friction point you mentioned, drawing version control. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It can be. Imagine a contractor using an outdated drawing. Mistakes, rework, delays, the whole 9 yards.
Not good.
Not at all. The solution is having a dedicated drawing manager, or in BIM projects, a BIM coordinator. They're in charge of maintaining and distributing the official, up-to-date documents.
So someone specifically responsible.
Right. And having clear file naming conventions and a formal approval workflow, that helps too.
Makes sense. Okay, we've talked about potential conflicts, but what happens when disagreements actually arise? How do you find resolutions?
Well, disagreements, they're normal, even healthy, in any collaboration. The key is approaching them constructively. First off, empathy and active listening are crucial.
So putting yourself in the other person's shoes.
Exactly. Often conflicts arise because someone feels unheard. So creating a safe space for everyone to voice concerns and really listen to each other is essential.
Treating each other like human beings.
Exactly. And it's vital to focus on the shared goal. Remind everyone that they're working towards the same objective, a successful project.
Keeping the big picture in mind.
Right. That can help de-escalate things and find common ground.
What if those initial attempts to resolve things don't work?
Then you need to know when and how to escalate, but professionally. This might mean referring to the contract, which usually outlines dispute resolution processes. Sometimes bringing in a neutral third party, like a project manager or mediator, can help.
So a mediator to help everyone talk it out.
Exactly. The key is to handle it professionally, focusing on solutions, not blame.
And documenting everything is important.
Absolutely. Document everything. Emails, meeting minutes, requests for information, any changes agreed upon. It creates a clear record, which can be super helpful if any misunderstandings arise.
A paper trail, but for a good reason.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about some real-world examples, cases where these principles really paid off.
Sure. Let's start with a high-performance hospital. On this project, the architects and MEP engineers were totally integrated from day one, using BIM to coordinate everything.
Sounds efficient.
It was. They fine-tuned the design for energy efficiency, and guess what?
What?
They achieved a 15% reduction in overall energy usage. Big savings for the hospital.
That's incredible. Proof that it works. What's another example?
Okay, we have a challenging retrofit of a historic building. The structural engineers wanted an external steel frame for seismic safety,
Makes sense.
but the architects wanted to preserve the building's historic look. So they collaborated using digital modeling and even built mock-ups on site.
Going the extra mile.
They came up with a hybrid solution.
Mm-hmm.
The reinforcement the building needed, but minimal visual impact.
A win-win.
Exactly.
Okay, last example.
All right, this one's called the Net Zero Campus. It highlights how interdisciplinary collaboration can achieve ambitious sustainability goals.
I'm intrigued.
So architects, sustainability consultants, and solar engineers teamed up from the start to develop a building facade with integrated solar panels.
Built right into the design.
Yes. No need for those bulky rooftop panels.
Yes.
It looked great and generated energy.
Awesome.
And because they collaborated early on, the regulatory process was smooth.
So these examples show that teamwork really does work.
It does. And it's not just about the processes and the tech. The
Yeah.
biggest takeaway is that building trust is the real foundation.
Trust is key in any relationship, I guess.
It is. Great collaboration goes beyond the tools. It's about fostering trust, transparency, and a shared commitment to doing great work.
When everyone's on the same page, pulling in the same direction.
Yes. That's when projects thrive, creativity flourishes, and exceptional buildings are born. Like we said, designing and constructing a building is a symphony, and it's most beautiful when everyone's playing in tune.
Beautiful analogy. Okay, let's wrap up with a quick FAQ to recap. First, what is the architect's primary role in this team?
They're the lead designer and coordinator, ensuring the design vision is realized while integrating the expertise of all the consultants.
And when should you bring in those consultants?
As early as possible. It allows for smoother integration, proactive problem solving, and ensures everyone's aligned from the start.
Makes sense. Now, scope creep, that can be a beast. How do you manage it with so many consultants involved?
A detailed responsibility matrix from the get-go, outlining who's accountable for what. Regular check-ins and clear communication also help.
Okay, what about disagreements? How do you handle those?
Open dialogue, exploring alternatives, and using simulations or mock-ups to test different approaches. If that doesn't work, there should be a clear escalation process.
And finally, can collaboration actually save money?
Absolutely. Fewer errors, a smoother construction process, fewer change orders, all that leads to cost savings in the long run.
Collaboration, it's a beautiful thing. Well, there you have it, folks. It's clear that successful building projects are the result of this amazing, often unseen collaboration between all sorts of talented experts. And as we've seen, the principles of collaboration, early involvement, clear communication, defined roles, they're valuable in any field, not just construction. Think about a complex project you've been a part of. How might these principles have impacted the outcome? What's your symphony, and how well is everyone playing together? If you're interested in exploring these intricate systems and the people behind them, be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into this fascinating world.
It's a fascinating world out there for sure.